Hello there, and welcome to the tour of the Survival Hub of the Survival and Defense series. My name is Wimperman, and I'm the Chief Designer, Chief Builder, Chief Architect, and Chief Dumbass of the Survival Hub project. So here is the vehicle here. Well, it's actually a static semi-permanent structure. So I'm going to take you through in a minute the features of this structure, but first I'm going to show you the original vehicle. Now, original vehicle, it's not actually a vehicle. Here it is over here. Now, as you can see, it does actually come with a bunch of, or it did at the time, come with a bunch of thrusters and hover engines, and a, where's the seat? There it is, so that you could move it around once you'd spawned it in. But rather than having that stuff on it for the blueprint, I thought it was best to leave these new survival and defense structures without that on, in case you don't need to move it. It's best to put the stuff on it if you need to move it, rather than have to take all the stuff off when you don't need to move it, you know. Anyway, so this is the original survival pod that was built before the game was released, and actually there was two. There was this one, which is the hostile environment survival pod, which comes with the personal barricade around the outside for you to take cover behind when fighting Xerax or drones or raptors or whatever. And the other one didn't have the barricade, it was just the structure in the middle. Now, this survival hub is actually a variant of the refit of this that I haven't actually done yet. So it's a variant of a structure that is yet to be built. So in fact, after I finished recording and editing and uploading this video, I shall be refitting the survival pod. But yeah, the hub is actually a variant of that, or it will be. I also wanted to explain just quickly why I'm building these static structures, specifically as HV grids. So there is some benefits to building a base, air quotes, using HVs that don't move. That is that when you spawn them in, or when you place the core at least, they don't trigger any drone raids or anything. At least as far as I know, HVs don't. Now, bases and CVs do, so that's one benefit. Now, it does come with some drawbacks. Of course, the blocks that it's made of have less hit points, so it's a little bit more squidgy, but because the chances are it won't be attracting attention, hopefully it's not an issue. Now, the static bit, of course, comes with some pros and cons. Obviously, the con is that it doesn't move anywhere, so you don't get use of this elsewhere on the planet. But the pro, of course, is that all the CPU that you would have spent on the thrusters and the hover engines, you can spend on the additional devices. There's the benefit of having a HV base that doesn't move, is that you can spend the extra CPU that you save on the movable bits on other stuff. Right, so let's take you through its features, starting with its role and task equipment. So as I show you around, you will see some of its other features, specifically the lights and the fact that they are on sensors. Oh, and the ramps. So, technically, that's the front of the structure. The minigun turret, the Gatling turret there, is pointing forwards, technically. So, let's go in through the front. Why not? So, the role of this structure is, well, it's sort of a personal workshop and shelter, I suppose, is what I'm calling it. And to facilitate that role, it comes with a clone chamber, a medic station, Shush. A cargo container, a constructor, and a whole bunch of fridges, armor lockers, and other such storage. Right, next let's talk about its power, fuel, and air. So stock, it comes with a single small generator, which is up here in the roof space, which can be accessed through these shutters. It is fed by 3 fuel tanks that are over here, 3 normal / large fuel tanks. Grr. And for air, it has an O2 station with 2 O2 tanks. There's one there and there's one underneath it behind the constructor there. Right, next I will talk about its weapons, defences and construction. So it only comes with the 1 Gatling turret by default, and that Gatling turret is set to the general purpose configuration of targeting settings. Now I have left a whole bunch of other turrety or weaponry. Actually, I shouldn't have left the fixed weapons, but never mind. A load of other device groups in case you want to put on other turrets, which I will cover more at the end. Defences, well, it has no shield and it has no real armour other than the, the body of the structure. And the body of the structure itself, let's turn my HUD on and get this out. As you can see, the outer structure, the outer body is all steel blocks, even these little support pillars. Now, other than the very outer blocks here, the deck plating and the ceiling is all carbon composite, including this little support bit at the top of the central pillar job. Right, next then is its resource gathering, production and storage. Well, as you can probably guess, it has no resource gathering but production. It comes with a constructor, which also has the space on top for a second. And its storage, the cargo container in the middle is just shy of 3,500 SUs. It has 3 mini fridges, one supposedly for meds and then 2 over here for food. Now they all come turned off by default. And you also get, I think it's 5 small cargo boxes. 1, 2, 3, counting with Wimp. 4 small cargo boxes. And of course the 2 armor lockers. Okay, next then is its interior layout and any remaining devices. So, there is actually something to talk about here, even though I've shown you inside it already. Elion, why does this ramp is on that sensor? So once I go in the sensor field it extends, and when I go out of the sensor field it retracts. But for some reason it also retracts when I bump up against it. Why? I don't know, makes no sense. Anyway, so are we going in through the front? No, that was the side. Right, we're going through the front again. So to the left we have what is supposedly the little kitchenette area where you store your food, and then there's a small cargo box on the wall for storing any devices, things like these jobbies and maybe your weaponry. So as you can see next to the compass there, I'm in a savannah. And there's some funny noises in the savannah. It almost sounds like there's someone chopping wood off in the distance. Of course it's not going to do it now because I just mentioned it. Anyway, so that's there. Then over here is where, as you saw earlier, the constructor, the O2 station is, and the 2 armor lockers. The medical corner is over here, where you can respawn, reheal, and store your meds. And then this corner is left blank and empty, so you can put here whatever you want. More storage, or maybe more construction, production. And then if you open up any of these shutters in the ceiling, that'll give you access to the roof space, which is used for all the gubbins. Remaining devices. So, as you've been hearing all the way along, there are 4 ramps, one on each side, that is controlled by the sensors just above them. The sensors also control the 2 lights flanking that particular entry-exit point. There is a whole bunch of docking pads under here. There's 2 on each side. Let me go in through the roof space. Ah yes, there's the Wi-Fi right in the centre of the roof space. Oh, I forgot to mention the ammo during the storage bit, but that's fine because the any remaining devices is a catch-all, luckily. So this is just a 375, it's just the 2 extensions and the controller. But it only comes stock with 1 turret, so it doesn't really need much the way it comes. I think that's it. Yes, that's all of the devices. Yes, it is. Okay, next then I will talk about the shortcuts and signals. So, the device groups, we have turrets at the top. Now that does actually come turned off when you spawn it in. It was just on so that I could talk about it during the weapons bit and so I could point out which direction was technically forward on the vehicle. I mean, it doesn't really matter because obviously it doesn't have a cockpit seat of any type, so there is some funny noises in the savannah. Can you hear it again? No, stuff it. Doesn't really matter. Alright, so because you won't be driving it around unless you need to move it around, in which case, you know, you can add thrusters or ground repulsors or hover engines and all of that jazz if you need to move it around. But it's you don't really need to know which way is forward. I mean, I suppose if you're trying to move it to a waypoint, but then it's not really something that I've intended you, even if you add thrusters and stuff to it, I intend you to be driving, you know, around the planet. But like, it's the sort of thing where you have a ship here and you want to take this to another planet. So you would drive it up onto the ship or into the ship. Then you'd fly the ship to the planet where you would want it, and then you'd drive it off the back because you've parked right where you want it. So yeah, it's the front of it is not really particularly important, I don't think. So that's why the turret was out. Next, the production, that obviously turns on and off the constructor. The fridges obviously turn off, on and off all of the mini fridges. It does them all at the same time. For signals, we have power save, as is always there, except on vehicles and structures that don't have a power save. I thought this one should, but the only things that are on it is the Wi-Fi and all of the motion sensors. Oh, the lights on the inside are controlled by a motion sensor as well, and that's in the roof space next to the Wi-Fi, by the way. So the next signal is the interior lights, so you can turn them on and leave them on manually if you would like, rather than leaving it up to that motion sensor, like so. And as you saw, the next signal is the exterior lights, which does the same for the ones all the way round the exterior. If that gets on your nerves, by the way, do feel free, because I think I probably will, just to take that off and maybe use them manually. Actually click on them to extend them. I think that's probably what I would do if I was using this. Okay, and finally then is the CPU and upgrading. So the core block is right in the center of the floor underneath the cargo extension, cargo container even there. Shush, which is accessible from the bottom if you need it to. I haven't bothered painting over the damaged textures there because this isn't a vehicle you would probably be seeing from below, so I didn't feel it necessary to paint over the... Even though I painted the bottom. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it, Wimp? Never mind. So the CPU is just shy of the 5,000 limit. There we go. And upgrading wise, as you can see, there's plenty of space to upgrade. I have earmarked over here for the CPU extenders. Of course, you can put them anywhere you want and remove the writing if you wish, but that's where I kind of envision they would be. You can obviously put more fuel. You can put more ammo here. More power generators, especially if you're putting in a shield. Now, if you're putting in a shield, I would kind of suggest here. And then, of course, you would need a pentaxid tank. So maybe there on those two blocks. Next to the fuel, maybe, or here. Now, obviously, you might lose some of that if you're taking hits from drones on top. But then, of course, if you put a shield in, that's going to help protect it a bit more. Shush. The last bit I really need to talk about with regards to upgrading is the turrets. So you can actually remove this one and the blocks all the way around it, and I have pre-painted underneath it. One more. And then there is space for... There we go, and there. So there is actually space for 4 turrets on top. Now, I've kind of intended them to be sat on top like this. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could rip some of the blocks out and make them retractable, but that's up to you. Right, so there we go. That's the wrong button. That'll be the end of the tour video. So thank you very much for taking an interest in the Survival Hub. I hope you get some use out of it, and hopefully I'll see you in another video for a different build. So thank you again, and goodbye.